Hey guys, welcome back to Trad Rod and Custom. I'm Ollie, and if you haven't been here for previous videos, what we're getting back to today is the Roadster, custom Roadster. Go back and check out the old videos on that if you haven't seen them. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to add the X member out of the 49 Lincoln. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it. What we're going to do is we're going to brace up the frame. I got this old hunk of driveline here. I'm just going to weld it in up front here. You know, it doesn't need to be welded in a whole lot. We're just going to tack it. The main thing, you know, we got jack stands under the frame back here. It is still on the springs too. It doesn't have, you know, there's no rock to it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to tack it to the frame rails to keep them from doing any of this kind of stuff. The front cross member is not welded in. So because of that, we're adding this. The rear cross member is welded in, but I don't want the frame rails to move on us a whole bunch when we take this out, because we are you know, we already got body mounts and everything located, so we don't want to have to do any of that over again, or fix some problem that we create here. So yeah, tacking that in, and then we're going to start taking this out, and then we'll start fitting the X member. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape my flap wheel. I'm going to knock the heads of these rivets down, 2 on top, 4 on the sides, on both sides, and then we'll get all these mechanical brake bits out that are left, clean up the frame rails a little bit. Few inches from the back of the radiator. Let's see, that hole right between. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to get an idea where this thing's going to be, so I can clean up the frame in the right spots and clean up the X member and trim and just get it ready. So this is 62 inches from the back of the radiator. I did buy a 32 Ford radiator shell for this, and we're going to run probably an aluminum 32 Ford radiator. I know a lot of guys like that Chevy radiator, but those honeycomb radiators don't cool well, and it's not set up for a flathead V8. It just presents a lot of issues. You know, 32 Ford grill's priceless, timeless. Not priceless. It has a price. It's expensive, but timeless. You know, it's a good look. We'll go ahead and get this thing marked up, get it cleaned up, and start getting stuff tack welded into place. And that's the front of that. So what we're going to do, we're going to start, once we get the metal cleaned up, by tacking the bottom of this X member to the bottom of the frame here. That's going to be our first move. You can see that these legs go way back after the sweep back here. What my idea is I'm going to notch these and kick these legs out and have them meet the frame right where the frame step happened. So right where I swept the frame, where all my welds are, which, you know, this thing's going to get boxed, but I'm going to put my reinforcement there, right in the middle of it, just to add more strength to that area. And then, you know, it'll be boxed the rest of the way back. It'll be boxed between the X legs, and it'll be boxed forward. But we'll do all that after the fact. So what we're going to do right now is just get this metal cleaned up, get this thing positioned, cut, fit, tacked in. And then it'll be a matter of, it'll be too tall, so we'll be lowering the top of this X member to match. But we don't want the X member hanging lower than the frame. So what you can kind of see me doing here is feeling my way around. I know some of my work's a little stab in the dark-ish, but it is coming together the way I planned. It is coming together as it should. It's just kind of, I don't know, this is the way I like to do this kind of stuff. You know, if I'm doing something that you know, has a method that's been done before where it you know, you cut here, bend there, and it's going to fit in a F1 cross member in a Model A frame. Sure, I'll do it, you know, exactly the way everybody's been doing it for 100 years. But when it's something like fitting a 49 Lincoln X member in a Model A chassis with a Chevy frame horn sweep in the back, there's no rules. And I'm just kind of nudging it along and making sure that my tranny mount is centered up front, centered with the pinion on the drive on the banjo. Sorry. I'm kind of keeping an eye on where my drive line is going to fall in here. I'm keeping an eye looking across here to make sure that where my body's at, you know, I'll have body mount so my body doesn't sit on these rails. It's up just, 3/4 inch. So I'm making sure my body's going to clear all the way across. And yeah, I'm just kind of cutting off a slice, dropping it down, cutting off a slice, dropping it down till I like it. And thus far, it's doing exactly what I thought it was going to do. I'm happy. I have seen one change is I have seen that it is going to drop below the frame back here. In order for the drive line, which is only going to be about 2 feet or so. Who needs to balance a 2-foot drive line, you know? But for the drive line to run where it needs to go, the X member just does have to drop down below this frame rail just a little. We're talking like 2 inches, and then it'll still notch up. These wings, rear legs are gonna swing out. They'll notch up, angle up. You know, it should have a good look. I don't think anybody's gonna poo-poo on it. We are gonna run split bones on the back. I'm personally not a real big fan of split bones in the rear. I'm not a big fan of split bones at all. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Henry Ford designed something that works really well. When you split the bones, you create a bind. You just do. It doesn't matter how great your ends are. It just doesn't matter. You create a bind. It's supposed to pivot from one point. But it is what it is. It's hot rodding. Guys have been splitting bones for 100 years. So in order to clear everything and do everything, the bones are getting split. I don't see a good way around that. Yeah, I just don't see a good way around that. But anyway, we're on track. Things are going as planned. I'll keep nipping and tucking, and you guys keep watching if you're interested, and go watch all my other videos if you're not. And yeah, stay after it. Well, as you guys can see, my camera died, which is my phone. And then my wife had to take off for a night shift working as a nurse. So this is kind of where we got to. You can kind of see where it's headed. It's almost like a K member a little bit. The rear legs come out to the side and they meet right where the weld starts for the rear sweep. I'm happy though. I mean, it's going exactly as I want. You can tell it's well lined up. That drive line's not going to be real long. As you can see, the rear of the tranny sticks out there. So the drive line's going to be 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet. This side's going to get bent over, cut and bent and welded. This will get dropped down. That plate will get dropped down and it'll get reattached to all 4 legs. And then to add strength here, there's going to be some 1/8 plate made gussets that I'm going to make, or I guess reinforcing plates. I'm going to probably put them in from the underside here. So they'll go up underneath and then they'll get welded here, and I'll probably end up flipping the frame and welding them on the underside. And then there'll be one down here as well, going across there. You can tell I got a little gap right there. So that plate will take care of that. It'll overlap, go inside the frame, you know, inside the X member. It'll get that on that corner, and both of these corners. But yeah, the thing's coming together. I'm sorry I didn't really get it finished. I was trying to get it finished so I could show you guys, but I'll probably finish the rest of it off camera. So the next video we do on this thing, I'll be setting the motor and tranny in next week. My plan is to be back on the Suburban, and I'll be doing a video on that, doing rust repair, putting the floors in, finishing up the rear panel. I already did the splash apron. I have both front floor sections, so I don't know how many of you have seen the earlier video on the Suburban, but should be getting all the metal work done hopefully in the next video, which will be next week, and might even, if we get time, dive into installing the windows in that. Might even do a will it run video on that he's never had that thing running, so might tinker with that. I'm not really sure if he got the carburetor rebuilt yet or where he's at on that, but that's the plan. So next week will be Suburban, and then the week after that we'll be setting the motor and tranny in this thing, and then we'll be fabbing up front motor mounts, and then it'll be set the, let's see, front motor mounts. We'll make our driveline. I already have the driveline out of the Lincoln. I'll make my own driveline. It doesn't need to be balanced. It's only going to be 1.5 feet, 2 feet long. As long as I weld it square, doesn't, you know, have to balance 1.5 foot long driveline. There's not a lot of shake that's going to come there unless you really weld it crooked. Yeah. So motor and tranny, front motor mounts, driveline, and then set the body on, adapt the floor if we have to. I think everything's going to set underneath the floor. We'll see though. If we have to adapt it, we'll adapt. If we have to add a little mini piece of a tunnel or whatever, we can do that. I don't think we'll have to, but I don't know. So then we'll have body on, driveline, motor tranny, a little bit of electrical, plumb in the gas tank, and then it'll be running, because we already know it runs. Then it's rear bones, plumb in all the brakes. I got to get all the drums turned. I got a buddy with a brake lathe, drum lathe, so we can get all the drums turned. I think all of these have plenty of meat on them for turning. We got to drop the front spindles. So the round back spindles I already have dropped for this thing. I'm gonna keep them for my 30 Roadster that I'm doing on 32 rails. Pretty sure I'm gonna keep them unless I can find some nice chrome round backs. So I'm doing side steer on this thing anyway. So these spindles are set up for cross steer. I have a set of square backs that somebody welded a side steer mount on. I don't know how safe that is. It was on a car. It drove like that. Maybe it's just fine. You can get the bolt-on side steer mounts, so maybe that's the route to go. I don't know. But the plan is right now I'm going to put those square backs on this because it's already set up for side steer. I'll have to drop those to match this severe drop of this axle. I think it's this 4 or 5 inch drop. So I'll have to drop those so I can do a video. My first video for the channel was on dropped spindles, but I didn't actually show dropping spindles. So I get my oxy and acetylene bottles filled up, and we can do a spindle drop video. Then this thing's going to be running, driving, stopping. And at that point, it's take it down to the DMV. Yeah, anyway, appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys are enjoying the content, maybe learning something. I don't know. You know, this is more of kind of a vlog thing. You know, I show you guys how to do some stuff. I'm sure there's some of you that know how to do stuff better than I do. There's some of you that know how to do stuff differently than I do. I'm learning all the time. But I for guys that don't know how to do something, I hope that you're getting something from this that's informative and helpful. Sometimes it's good just to gain a little confidence from seeing somebody else do something like I was doing, where you're snipping and fitting, you know, making something work, and seeing that you don't always have to be incredibly anal, measuring out everything, marking everything. Sometimes you can kind of set your mounts where they go, and you can kind of just work your way through it until it fits and make it work. So that's what we're doing, and it's coming together. So appreciate any likes, subscribes. If you want to share the video to your Facebook or whatever, appreciate that too. So I'll see you guys next week. Later.